So Smackdown. Smackdown was very much a mixture of the sublime and the ridiculous as far as I was concerned. It was an inconsistent show that kind of frustrated me. It's not the worst it's been, and some of the aspects of it were really, really good. Some of the aspects of it were really, really abominable. We opened with a great aspect. We opened with CM Punk delivering another excellent heel promo. Punk looks great at the moment, and his heel promos get better and better every week. I think the more heel he becomes and the more he gets into being a heel, the better his being a heel is. He delivers a promo now that I like because it's not the same as other heel promos. It's not an arrogant form of sort of self-belief. He's still got a superiority complex, which is what heels generally have, but it's not in an arrogant way. It's just in a sort of, he sees it as fact, and I like the way that he does this. I like the way that he puts this across, and he delivers yet another promo against the crowd and against Jeff Hardy, and it's really good. It was really, really good. I put my hands up to him and applaud that promo. This, of course, is interrupted by Teddy Long saying basically that he should be ashamed of himself for the vicious beatdown he gave Jeff Hardy the week before, which was great. And CM Punk pulls a fantastic face. Something like, I can't remember. Long says something like, "You could have ended Jeff Hardy's career," or something like that. I don't know. It was something like that. And Punk just goes. It was so sarcastic. I loved it. It was one of my best moments of the week. It was certainly the best promo moment of the week for me. Just that facial expression was so well done. Jeff Hardy appears and is really selling his injuries, which continues throughout the show, and delivers a very, very brief promo, which, despite being that brief, was horrible. He says something like, "I am the world champion. No, I'm hurt, but I am here. In your face!" And I was just like, Jeff, just stop talking. That was all he said, I'm pretty sure. And it was horrible. How can you say that few words and be that bad? I don't know. His promo offends me every time. Other bad points. Well, after Dolph Ziggler defeated Finlay, Mike Knox appeared. Well, Mike Knox struck Finlay with the shillelagh on the leg, which allowed Ziggler to capitalise and get the win. Mike Knox delivered not a very good beatdown to Finlay, and sidewalk slammed him on the steel steps, and then delivered a promo about how there are a certain number of bones in the human body, and I forget which bone he picks, but he says he finds it fascinating that just the slightest of strains to one particular bone can cause an extreme amount of pain. Callum texted me after this and said Mike Knox has just delivered the worst beatdown and possibly the worst promo ever. The beatdown was pretty bad. Okay, the promo wasn't good, but I actually quite liked the concept. I at least thought it was different. Normally when you get people in WWE that are supposed to be like sort of psychotic, there's no explanation for it or whatsoever. They just run about going "Mah!" the whole time. Mike Knox doesn't appear to be doing that. He appears to be at least going for some kind of sadism approach. At least I think it's different. Okay, it's not great, but I didn't hate it as much as Callum did. I wouldn't say we disagree so much as I just don't feel as much. I don't have as much of a problem with it as he does. Then, what else? Sorry, I'm still trying to... Oh yeah, we had a horrible series of promos where Kane has kidnapped Ranjin Singh. This doesn't work as a heel because nobody likes Ranjin Singh. He's a fucking douche. There's no point in kidnapping him because nobody will care. And we have these terrible videos. It's a bit like... Have you seen The Dark Knight? You know the videos where the Joker has kidnapped people and he makes little sort of psychotic videos of them and makes them say stuff to the camera? That's what they were doing here, where Kane was doing it with Ranjin Singh. It was ludicrous. Absolutely ridiculous. Filled with some of the worst acting I've ever seen. And then Kali appears eventually looking for Ranjin Singh, and Ranjin Singh is tied upside down, and Kali appears in the room and goes I'm convinced that's not a language he's speaking. Is it a language that he's speaking? I'm convinced it's gibberish. And if it is a language, the only reason I can't tell it's a language is because Kali sounds like an idiot. And then Kane appears and delivers a rubbish beatdown with a pipe and says, "I've never been afraid of you, but now you know to be afraid of me." And the whole thing was just awful. This is a strong contender as far as I'm concerned for worst feud of the year. Oh yes, we had two absolutely dire matches in a row. We had Melina defeating Layla, which was just awful. I mean, Melina and Layla you would expect to be awful, but I mean, it was just gash. It was absolute gash, and technically was probably the worst match of the night, but wasn't my least favourite match of the night. Oh no! My least favourite match of the night came next when JTG, the man who cleanly pinned Chris Jericho last week, was viciously squashed by the Big Show. This again was an example of how much I hate the way they're booking a show in Jericho at the moment. If JTG can cleanly beat Jericho, it doesn't make sense to have him destroyed by the Big Show, and he was just absolutely destroyed. Absolutely no hope in hell of any kind of victory. I hated this. This was as boring as any of the Big Show's squashes. This was just crap. It was just crap. Also, the Big Show's camel clutch is the worst camel clutch I've ever seen. Maurice does a better camel clutch than that. What is this? Anyway, I hated that. But we had a beautiful match on Smackdown this week. A beautiful match between CM Punk and John Morrison. Excellent as usual. Excellent for all the reasons it's usually excellent. I'm not going to go through describing all the offense like I normally might, mainly because I haven't made notes of what actually happened. I just remember it being absolutely beautiful, and John Morrison is on such a roll that it's okay for him to get pinned clean by CM Punk. That's what should be happening. Top heels on shows should be pinning people clean more often. And he did. He hit the GTS and pinned him after his finisher. Thumbs up. Good. I'm glad that happened. And yeah, this was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. It was probably the best match of the week. And then as our main event, Vince McMahon for some reason has ordered that the injured Jeff Hardy has to take on the Hart Dynasty in a handicap match. This match was fine. The Hart Dynasty looked good as a tag team. I don't really like how they're being booked as pretty much the weakest tag team going at the moment. I don't really like how it's been booked that if Jeff Hardy was at full fitness, he could have beaten both of them. That doesn't make sense. Tyson Kidd always looks great in the ring, so he was entertaining to watch here. And I love their new adapted version of the Heart Attack, which is how they finish Jeff Hardy off for the win. Hartsmith gets their opponent over his shoulder as usual, but instead of Kidd running into the ropes and hitting the sort of clothesline reverse bulldog thing, he does it as a springboard from the apron, and I like it. I like how they've made it different and made it their own. That's good. And then after this match, Punk comes down to beat on Hardy. Morrison appears to help Hardy out. The Hart Dynasty get involved, and everyone's kind of fighting each other. And then probably one of my least favourite things about the whole week in wrestling, Matt Hardy appears. Yes, they seem to want to push Matt Hardy. He comes out to help Jeff. I think this isn't an actual face turn. I think this is just teasing a face turn. I think Matt Hardy's going to turn heel again. But by turning heel against Jeff Hardy, this puts him back at the top level. I was really glad when he went to Raw and was pretty much a jobber again. I want him released. He's crap. So next week we're going to have to sit through... Well, no, not have to sit through. We're going to get a 6-man tag match, which, aside from Matt Hardy, could be hugely entertaining. We're going to get the Hart Dynasty and CM Punk against John Morrison, Jeff Hardy, and Matt Hardy. I hope that Matt Hardy's barely involved, because he's rubbish. Other than that, I could see that match being perfectly entertaining. Anyway, I've run over time again, so in part 4, I'm just going to have to do the awards for the week first, and then I'm going to have to rattle through them, and I have a couple of Q&A questions that I want to answer. Thank you so much for bearing with me, guys. The last part will be worth watching. We will have our awards of the week, and I will field some questions. So switch over to part 4. Cheers!